Yo guys, welcome back to another league racing video on the channel. Today we have PSGL round 5 around the Red Bull Ring, Austria. And I wasn't very confident coming into this race, but these are the championship standings. We are currently in 8th place and Josh Tomo is leading by 3 points to Lucas, and then Champ is just trailing behind by 10 points. But I'm trying to fight for P4 in the championship. I feel like that's a pretty realistic place for me to aim, because I'm obviously not at the top end with everyone else, but I can definitely fight for a podium, and I'll just definitely put myself up there. I just need to be available in the good places to pick up points off people up ahead if they have incidents, which we're going to be trying to do today, as I'm not a very big fan of Austria as a track. At least coming into this, my practice wasn't very promising. I wasn't feeling like I'd have good race pace, and my only hope was going to be qualifying, because I'm just not. Austria's not one of my favourite tracks, because as soon as tyre wear kicks in, the braking zones become a lot more difficult. So, as we're rounding into the last sector on the first banker lap for quali, Trivers sets the fastest lap with a 104, basically a flat 104, almost breaking into the 103s, but take the nice corner pretty nicely. And up to the line, we are P1 provisional fastest with a 104.021. So just barely out of the one, I don't know, barely out of the 104s. As you can see now, cut to my in lap, my car just stops completely in the pit lane. Just by itself, it stops and blocks up the pit lane and people behind. I tried pausing it, but this game is so broken.
Why has this happened then?
That I just, for like 10-20 seconds, the car just completely stops in the pit lane. I couldn't tell you why that's happened, but yeah, it's just something I've not really seen before. I saw it happen with Ghosted AI and Marcel Kiefer in PSGL F1. But these are the standings right now after everyone's first banker run. Rudy has put in an incredible banker lap of a 103.7, and that's the time to beat. Like, that's just what I've got to be aiming for on this lap. As we about to start the lap through the final corner, open the ERS for hot lap, and try and get a nice start to the lap with a good exit. But as we start, trying to get nicely through turn 1, didn't have the nicest corner. We hit the apex nicely, nice on the power, and we are now just climbing the time, gaining time. And I try and get a slipstream there off Powdy, which we do because he's on his in lap or his out lap, and we get it a lot nicer around this corner. We slid around in the first lap, set the fastest first sector, and we are up nearly 2/10 in the first sector, which is huge for us, as we're taking a wild line over the curves, downshifting late, trying to get a nice exit. It's a little bit worse than my first run, but not complaining. Still 2/10 up at this point. Get a nice exit, nicely round that corner, and through in 6th gear, trying to keep as nicely and tucked into the curve as I can, as we are trying to keep our 3/10 that we are gaining right now. Nicely around the last corner, we are gaining again, nicely through the final corner, but it's a bit less.
I upshifted way too soon.
Yeah, I upshifted, but accidentally I upshifted from 5th to 6th, like mid-corner, which completely lost me time there. But we managed to set a 103.7, which did put us provisional pole, but Lucas came in and was up 4 thousandths on me, or 40 thousandths. But we're halfway through my last lap, my final run, because it was an awful lap, and then I go wide here and I just invalidate. So yeah, we're gonna have to stick with our 103.7, and we have finished P4 in the end. We are only 47 thousandths off of pole position, but right now all I'm thinking of is that the race. We're looking onto the race now. We are going to go for a medium hard strategy and hope we can get a relatively early safety car, and then we just go to hards and run till the end. As last time out in Qatar, that's the strategy that worked well, so we're going for it again. But we are now on the grid, 5 red lights, and away we go. Rudy does not get off the line well at all, so we have to avoid that, which loses us a bit of time. We lose out on P3 to Krivers, and Powdy's looking up the inside. We leave him the space. Italian Snow is already out of the race, and it's an instant safety car. Already, after one turn, we didn't even get halfway up the first straight, and it's just instantly a safety car. But it's way too early to box, as we already cut to the end because no one boxed in front of us. Just people boxed for damage at the back. But the safety car is restarted now. He gets a run early into the last 2 corners. He goes soon. But we are now running and seeing if we can get a run on Krivers. I keep saying that name wrong. But we're going to try and overtake him relatively soon as we open the ERS, but decide to back out. But I probably should have kept it open and went for the move, as we are just braking early, keeping well away from him. I'm not trying to get front wing damage on lap 5. It's a very long race, 36 laps around Austria. It's very draining. You got to do the same lap just so many times, so there's not much point in trying to keep as close to him right now, as we're still just trying to get into a nice rhythm and pull, maybe even try and pull a gap on everyone behind. But there's a nice train, so just going to need to keep in DRS for a few laps and see what happens from there. But yeah, first lap, nicely done. About the same gap to the Red Bull ahead than the Ferrari behind. As he gets a bit of a shaky exit there, he's not got the confidence yet on his medium tyres. He's not quite got them warmed up as he sets the fastest lap off the restart. But now we can brake a bit later, gain a bit more. We lose the back end a little bit, but that's ruined our chance of getting a run on. As we skip ahead to the beginning of lap 7. There's a nice train ahead. They're all keeping nice together. Nothing's happening. There's a nice train the whole way down the field until the 2 Alfa Romeos. But someone goes off, and up ahead Jamie goes for a move and gets it done on Lucas as soon as a safety car comes out.
I don't know, I'll see what the people ahead do.
As you hear me hesitantly asking my chat if I box, because it's a bit too early to go for like 26, 28 laps.
It'll last to lap 10. That's 26 laps on the. It's 26 laps on the tyres. I'm not sure. No idea.
Yeah. As Jamie's saying, I'm just going to end up copying what these lot do. They all decide to stay out because it is way too early to box for mediums and for hards. Sorry. But we stick out. There's a few people behind that dart for the box. So they're all boxing off the mediums onto hards very early in hopes of a late safety car. And then they'll presumably box for mediums or softs. But the safety car, it looks like they go, but then have to slam on the brakes because they didn't actually go. Someone goes into the box, not sure who that is. But back off into the second safety car restart, and it's only lap 10. Like, it's not the cleanest start to the race, but we're going to be looking and hoping that people behind us, or even in front of us, keep it clean. So we can just have a nice run of race, as we nearly end up getting swiped by Josh behind as he went for the move on the Ferrari. That could have ended badly, that could have spun us round, but luckily, nothing done there. As we go down into turn 4, trying to get it nicely around. That's probably my most inconsistent corner. Like, I'm not incredible at that, as we get an invite from the league leader of UFRL, but yeah, I'm not sure why he's done that. He knew I was racing, but that's just whatever, we'll just move on. Didn't distract me too much. Would have been nicer to have that done under a safety car, or just not at all, but not complaining. Didn't distract me too much. To go through the last corner quite nicely. That's just the first lap of the safety car done. So we're going to cut away as our teammate boxes. Assume that he has wing damage. But yeah, Teammate boxes, we cut onto the end of lap 11 through the final 2 corners. As Cribbers gets a massive snap, he loses the back end, so we have to use our ERS to get past and not lose too much time to him. And we just managed to get into DRS of the cars ahead, but unfortunately it's not open for this part of the lap. It will be on the next stage. We have to look to defend from Cribbers as up ahead Lucas gets past Jamie on the harder tyres. Up into turn 3, heavy braking zone. He gets it done. But we're just defending, we've held the position, we are now up into P3 in this race. About a third of the way through, I should say. But looking very nice to be on for a decent result here. As up ahead, Jamie and Lucas. Just about a second ahead, but we are going to be able to keep it in the DRS. As we're just trying to get some nice laps in here, which we are doing. I'm not putting a foot wrong. As we come to the start of lap 14, Lucas gets a poor exit, but so do I. I run wide and get up the track limits. As you can see in the top left, we have pulled a 1.5 second gap to the pack of cars behind, which is very good for our race, as we will use the DRS from the cars ahead to pull away, hoping that they don't fight too much. But this is massive for us, even though that's our first warning of the race. We are 1.7 seconds ahead of the pack behind. As up ahead, Jamie's getting a bit annoyed as Lucas gets a snap and goes wide, but he is a bit laggy. As we move on to lap 16, we are now 2 seconds ahead of the pack behind. DRS. We are keeping the nice train. As Jamie is going for a move on Lucas, he's going to let him go to get DRS up into turn 4 on the rundown. But 2 seconds ahead, trying to see if we can pick up any scraps of the cars ahead, seeing what can be done. Because if they both spin each other out, that's perfect for us, because we're just right behind. We've kept it nice and close, just waiting to see what will happen. On to the end of lap 17, however, we see Jamie going for a box. He is going to the hard tyres as Lucas almost runs into the back of him. It's a very dodgy pit entrance, but nothing done there, no damage to Lucas, but he's boxing. We are on the same strategy and roughly the same tyre wear as him. So I think my tyres are good, so I'm going to try and stay out a lap or 2 longer here, which we end up doing as we're moving onto the end of our lap. So I'm going to go and wait and see what Lucas does here.
Hard medium is probably the right strategy this guy's going to have.
Yeah, 'cause as you hear me say, hard medium was probably the right strategy as Lucas boxes for a fresh set of mediums. I reckon he could have ran on a bit longer here, but we end up staying out because my tyres feel incredible. But the cars behind, you'll notice we are boxing now, but the cars behind are the people that boxed really early on in the race, so they're going to have quite a nice gap once I come out of the pits here. As we are nicely into the box, no time lost there. Get a nice stop time, getting in and out, really simple. And now the pit exit here, we are now dropped out, you can see, behind Jamie and Lucas. But I get a really poor exit here. I'm not a fan at all of the pit exit at Austria. It's so bumpy and it's so difficult to predict. We're now nearly 4 seconds behind Jamie and Lucas ahead. And this has put us on the back foot to Powdy behind. But we have a nicer gap between myself, Powdy, and the Red Bull. But I'm just using my ERS. I have to defend. I've been forced to defend here by staying out a lap longer. I realistically should have followed Jamie into the box, as we're on the exact same strategy. And then I could have just had a go in towards the end of the race. But power of hindsight, right? You can always say, oh, I could have done this, could have done that differently, but everyone does that after a race. When you're just so locked in, focused, you only need to think about what's good for you, and even if you get it wrong, it's just something you got to live with and you got to learn from. So for now, you can see 4.6 to Lucas ahead, as they are just going to use DRS. They're just going to use the ERS and DRS to continue to overtake each other and continue to pull a gap. As Powdy has got the DRS behind us, he's pulling up. I'm pulling off to the right to let him through here before the DRS detection zone. He's low on ERS, you could just see him flashing there. he has no ERS to play with. We have got 70% as I activate the ERS and DRS, but I'm not looking to make a move just yet. Even though I probably should have, because he is going to be holding us up here. I'm not quite sure what strategy he went for.
Boxed early.
As you can hear me say, everyone ahead. The pack of 4, they are all going to the end on their hard tyres, which isn't good for us, because we'll probably be able to get them eventually, because their tyres will be falling off around now. But we can't be sure. And at the time, I was very, I don't know, concerned that I wasn't going to be able to get a good position here, because I was thinking that I was going to get onto a podium as we go for the move on Powdy, because he's just flashing. We have more ERS. We're nicely round turn 3, looking for a good exit. We get the fastest first sector of the race, but we are going to be able to defend from Powdy here. He's looking like he's going to go for a move, but he thinks better of just doing a Otis Lawrence-esque dive. But yeah, move on to lap 24. And as you can see here, not too sure why I cut this. Oh yeah, there was a safety car.
That's a box, right? That is a box.
As you hear me saying, that is a perfect for us to box onto a set of mediums and go to the end of the race, which we are going to end up doing here, because it saves us. Everyone gets a free pit stop ahead of us. We have a bit of a moment going into the pit lane, but everyone ahead of us gets a box, but 2 of them have wing damage. So as you'll see, we come out ahead of Damon and Champ, which is beautiful for our race, because we have just gained 2 free positions, and it puts us directly behind Jamie.
So much, by the way.
As we nearly we nearly run into the wall on the exit of the pit lane. It's just not a good exit. It's so dangerous. At least for a less experienced driver like myself, with no assists apart from the line. But as we go into the safety car restart, they go. We also go nicely out. We're going to be looking to see if we can just get into a rhythm here and maybe pick up scraps of the cars ahead. As we see, Josh almost look like he's going for a move on Venge, but he decides to think better of it, because nothing goes well from overtaking into turn 1. Going on up into the turn 3, Venge goes for a move on Powdy, and Powdy and the leader Lucas stayed out, so they are going to have awful tyres come the end of the race. So that should realistically, if it stays green flag till the end of the race, that should be 2 free positions, as Josh and Venge are fighting hard. Powdy is defending from Jamie and trying to pick up scraps of the cars ahead, as Lucas is pulling a gap right now because of all the fighting going on just ahead of us and behind him. As Jamie goes for a move on Powdy, who loses the back end, and we just about avoid him. He goes for a pretty unnecessary move just there. I feel like he could have held back a little bit, because that's a very unorthodox place to go for a move, but it worked out well for both of us in the end. Just managing to not get hit there, which is very lucky for us. But we're going to continue on to lap 29. 7 laps left in this race. We are feeling so confident going into this, because there is so much to go on here. As up ahead, I think it's Lucas defending from Josh Thomas. They have contact. Josh goes wide. Not sure if he got a warning for that, but he's now got 3 seconds. I can't recall if he had that before that incident. But up ahead, they go 3 wide, it looks, into the corner, but Venge backs out. And then Josh goes wide. He gets collected with Venge, and they just get locked in, and Venge is spun out, and he's tumbling down the order. Not sure if he gets any damage, but Josh and Venge come together, and that's a leader for the race, or a contender for the race win, just gone, as Jamie ended up pouncing on Josh up ahead. So he's now up into P2, and now it's the original P1 and 2 runners, Lucas and Jamie. And then it's followed by Josh and myself, seeing if we can get involved. Up into the first corner, we're going to look to get a nice exit and maybe overtake Josh here as we open the ERS. Lucas defends hard from Jamie, who goes for the move up the inside, and Josh is also going. Lucas moves a bit late and just ends up forcing him out of the move, as it was just too dangerous. It's just he's moving a lot in the straight, which is a shame. But Josh is going to use his ERS and go for a move up the inside of Lucas. He is now flashing. But we're going to see if we can pick up scraps, because the racing here is looking very dangerous from Lucas, I should say. It's very unpredictable what he's going to do. But Josh runs wide and almost collects him, and then almost collects me as well. Very, very close to being taken out of the race just there, which backs us up into Champ. Lucas swipes across for no reason, and then we end up getting hit in the back by Damon because I had to take avoiding action on Lucas.
So
just
dirty, man.
He just swipes across and brakes to defend a corner no one should be overtaking in, and this is just letting Jamie just run away with the lead here. But we're going to open the ERS and DRS because we're going to go for a move on Lucas and Josh at the same time. 3 wide on the run up to turn 3. We brake, we get the move done. Nicely around a little bit of contact, but I leave him as much space as I can there. And now I'm opening the ERS to go for a move on Josh now, because we have so much more ERS and now have the DRS to play with as he backs out and lets us through here. And we are now up into P2 on lap 31.
Man. I can't.
But we cut away to another safety car, the 4th safety car of the race here today.
Oh, that was so weird.
As you can hear me say, that
all of that was stupid.
like, it was all such weird standards. Like, it was not a clean stint of race, but we all decided to stay out. And I think I'm on the better tyre here because the softs are going to be going and falling off a cliff. But I think Jamie goes here and he doesn't, so we have to back off. And then by the time he's went, we have Josh instantly overtake us. But he had to give the overtake back. And then he sticks up the inside, but I don't feel like I'm going to be able to stay off the sausage curve. So I have to run wide, and it lets Lucas and Josh through on the second last lap of the race. This is really not good for us. We have to defend from the Red Bull behind as he sends up the inside, but that also nearly hits Josh. And he does hit Lucas, so you hear there is a bit of contact. But he's going to go for a move here, up into turn 4. Second last lap of the race. He goes for a move up the inside. I hang it back. They make contact. There's not much room. He gets a squirrely exit. But he manages to get in front. But then Lucas just goes for a move and completely kills the Red Bull for no reason. Like, that was such a dirty move. I'm pretty sure he's going to have to get a penalty for that because there was no gap there. He just dives down when there was no space. He was taking the apex and he just dives up the inside and spins him round. Like, you could make the argument that Lucas is lagging, but there's no, he shouldn't be racing if he's lagging this much, because he's had an impact on a lot of people's races here. He's taken out a contender for the win, and he's just been very dirty and very strange tactics. As now we move on to the final lap, we're going to be using all our ERS. He swipes across and nearly takes us out and breaks our wing. It's a very late move to defend. He's on worn tyres, he's only stopped once, but we are going to use ERS. We should be having the space. He's got no, he's flashing, he's got no ERS left, but he just pushes us left. He's not giving us any space at all.
What are you doing?
He just completely forces me out, and I almost lose the car completely. And he is about to cost us, well, a P2 on track anyway, because Josh Tomo ahead has got a 3 seconds. He is fighting for his life here to try and hold on to the podium. But none of that's just happened within the 2 safety car restarts at the end. None of that was on. Like, it was just very dirty from him. We end up claiming P3 on track.
God, that's P2. He's not getting away with that. But there's no way.
As you hear me saying, he's not going to get away with that. Like, it's P3 on track, but that surely has to be P2. He's just blatantly murdered the Red Bull ahead of us. Such a shame, because that was a really promising race from us. We are up in the top 3 most of the race, and then just dirty
P2,
standards.
surely.
Like, it's just not on.
What is he doing?
As you hear me say, in the moment, I'm very frustrated, as he is just...
Oh, that's so bad. I actually do have to send in the last 10 minutes of gameplay for that. But that's P2. There's no way that isn't P2. It would have been P2 if he just didn't keep murdering. Like, I don't get it, bro.
Yeah, as you hear me say, that's going to be P2 as Jamie claims the win with Lucas following behind. But that's going to be
Bro,
me.
I'm claiming that P2.
Like, there's no
that's
way
not,
he gets
that's
away
not
with
on.
that. I've sent in a
It's not.
report of that, so should be getting a penalty for that. But top 4 rounded off, top 5 even. Jamie, Lucas, myself, Rudy, and Venge. That is my first podium in PSGL, and it's a P2, which is very nice because I didn't think I'd be in the fight for the win on this track because this is not a track I'm promising at, or at least good at, which is a shame. But I managed to show really good pace throughout the whole race. Maybe a questionable strategy call, but that's P2 at the end of the day, which I believe put me into P4 in the championship now, which is very nice. And I'm not going to be uploading UFRL on Monday because I'm going out, and plus it's the United game of this, United first game of the season against Wolves, so I won't be able to race in that. But hope you enjoyed the video, and leave your opinions on the last 10 laps of the race down in the comments. But yeah, I'll see you for PSGL at Suzuka, Japan next Thursday. And hopefully we can continue and get our second podium and continue the streak of points that we are on. See ya.